Welcome to the 24-25 school year, and we're going to talk about last Monday's work session with the board. We had a little technical difficulty with our audio, so we want to do a recap of it. First and foremost I want to say thank you in November of 21, where our community voted to restructure our bonds. Now, they didn't increase taxes, it didn't increase the length of the loans, just allowed us to tap into some funds that we could utilize today. So it was $80 million. And at the time, $80 million was going to go a long ways. But as you can see from this slide, with amazing increases in our steel and in wood, we saw construction costs just skyrocket, just like everybody else. Whether you're buying a church, building a house, building schools, fields, hospitals, everybody's seeing enormous increases in price. So at this point in time, as we are concluding, we finished up the projects in Maumelle, Sylvan Hills, and we're working on the project of the Mills. We're down to $20 million at this point in time. So the work session was to discuss what's next. And you'll see a presentation by Mr. Johnson. You're going to see a discussion about the bonds and kind of the expediency of the expenditure by our attorney, Ms. Allsgood. But we just wanted you to be up to speed, and no decisions were made, but a really vibrant conversation happened. So again, let's have a great 24-25 school year, and thank you.
Michelle Allgood, and I'm an attorney with Mitchell Williams Law Firm. Mitchell Williams serves as bond counsel to the district. On December 30th, 2021, the Pulaski County Special School District issued $108,750,000 worth of bonds. A portion of the bond proceeds were used to refund other bond issues that resulted in debt service savings for the district. But the bond issue also generated about $80,610,000 of bond proceeds to be used for various projects. The true interest cost for the 2021 bonds was approximately 2.4%. That means the interest rate that the district was paying is 2.4%. The market has changed since the bonds were issued, and the 2021 bonds have an interest rate that is lower than the district would expect to receive if it issued bonds today. The district can issue bonds that benefit from a tax-exempt interest rate. That means that the interest rate that the district has to pay is lower, but it also means that the district promised to comply with various restrictions under federal tax law. One of the rules that the district has to follow relates to arbitrage rebate. The district invested the bond proceeds until it needs those monies to pay for construction costs. With the change in the market since the bonds were issued, that means that the district can also earn more money on its investments. For example, the district could invest money in a CD and earn 4%. The difference between the district's investment earnings, the 4%, and the district's cost of funds, the 2.4%, is arbitrage. This would seem to be a good thing, because then the district has more money that it can use to pay for projects, and it could be a good thing. If the district spends all of the bond proceeds and all of the investment earnings within a time period that the IRS calls the temporary period, then there's probably not any concern for the district. It isn't an absolute rule, but most of the time we should assume that the temporary period is 3 years. So for the 2021 bonds, the temporary period expires on December 30th, 2024. If the district does not spend all of the bond proceeds and all of the investment earnings before the temporary period expires, then the district will have to determine whether it has to rebate its arbitrage earnings. In other words, the district won't get to keep the arbitrage and will have to pay it to the federal government. The investment earnings that the district has so far on its construction funds is approximately $3 million. It's not an absolute requirement that the district will have to pay back all $3 million. Before the end of year 5, the district's rebate analyst will work a math problem and determine how much rebate is due. In other words, they will determine how much money will have to be paid back to the federal government by the district. The market did not change immediately after the bonds were issued. So during the beginning of the temporary period, the district did not have investment earnings that were greater than the interest rate on the bonds. So the math problem considers the investment earnings over the entire 5-year period and averages some of that out. If the district still has construction funds after December 30th, 2024, it should consider putting yield restrictions in place on the funds that are deposited in the construction fund. And this will help prevent any rebate obligation from getting larger. Another covenant that or promise that the district made to the bondholders was that the district would redeem bonds from surplus funds remaining in the construction fund at the expiration of the temporary period. The extraordinary redemption is supposed to happen on the first interest payment date after the temporary period expires, that the district can deliver required notices to the bondholders. The interest payments are February 1st and August 1st. So the earliest possible redemption date would be February 1st, 2025, but it's very unlikely that the district would have the information needed to provide notice in time to redeem any bonds on February 1st, 2025. But the district can't borrow money today at an interest rate of 2.4%. So it doesn't want to pay off these bonds early and borrow money at a higher interest rate to finish the projects. It already doesn't have enough money to finish the projects. As bond counsel, we would analyze all of the facts and circumstances to help the district determine whether it has to redeem bonds. For example, a positive fact or positive consideration is if the district had hired a contractor to put down a new parking lot, but the district had not yet paid the contractor because the district was waiting on the contractor to complete the striping or work through the punch list on the parking lot, the district would not have to redeem bonds rather than pay the contractor. Problem for the district, and the rules are not intended to create that type of problem. When we get closer to December 2024, Mitchell Williams will work with the district and see where it is with the spending of the money and the status of the projects. The district needs to make decisions sooner rather than later and proceed with deliberate diligence. If the district is moving forward and has contracts in place and projects advancing or under construction, that makes it a lot easier for us to provide legal advice to the district that it does not have to redeem bonds. If the district is at a standstill and money is sitting in the construction fund with no decisions being made, then it will be really hard for us to tell the district that it does not have to redeem bonds.
My name is Curtis Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of Operations for Pulaski County Special School District. This evening, I've been tasked with providing a presentation in regards to our current status of projects from our Build for the Future projects that involve the $80 million refinancing of 3 grants. With that being the case, I'm going to share my screen at this particular point in time to start that presentation as required by our great board, and we will get started with our presentation. On August 5th at 6 p.m., we had conducted the board meeting, and this presentation is a presentation that was presented during that meeting, and it is as follows. First slide, introduction to this process. The second slide is just simply this presentation. This is our purpose for the presentation. This presentation will attempt to outline some possible options to help move the Pulaski County Special School District forward as it relates to facilities. In our initial outlay based on the bond refinancing that we did approximately November of 20 or December of 2021, when it was approved and finalized, we said we do the following activities based on the 80 million, but based on construction costs skyrocketing post-COVID, it caused us to basically have some really truly inflated pricing on the things that we thought we could pay for based on pre-COVID cost analysis. So you looked at the outlay for this process ended up being about 40% shy of the mark based on construction costs. Construction costs increased by 40%. Building for the future projects for that 80 million included the top items in the top half of the slide, and they were Mills High School and Arena, ROTC, and softball complex. Mills High School classrooms, part of that funding would basically come from $4 million in ESSER funds. Harris Elementary retrofit at $3 million, College Station retrofit at $3 million. Maumelle indoor practice facility, track, and baseball fields at $11 million ended up being completed. And Sylvan Hills band room expansion, $1 million was allocated for that. We had some additional funding that took that total to $2.7 million. Northwest Transportation Pound was deleted. Those funds were moved into Maumelle High School to complete out indoor practice facility, track, and baseball fields. Robinson High School expansion was slated for $35 million, but due to some of the expenses from Mills High School and a few other places, those funds had to be utilized. Part of those funds had to be utilized for those processes and moved about. Baker Elementary expansion is $5 million. District integration is $2 million. District lighting is $2 million. Those funds for integration, all but a little less than $300,000 have been expensed in the district for HVAC controls and security and safety and security controls, fire and life safety panels. But district lighting upgrades was put on hold because we didn't know if we would need those funding sources or not. Additional items that were not included in building for the future, but they are critical items that are on task for the district. There are three sewer platforms here. One is not listed, which will be Lawson Elementary, Landmark Elementary, Oak Grove Elementary, all slated at $500,000 apiece. Central Office HVAC system for the central office has to be replaced. It's at end of life. The softball fields, baseball fields, and football fields for Sylvan Hills, Robinson High School, and Mills High School are nearing end of life and need to be replaced. So that number is inclusive of that. One item, additional item that's not listed here, would be the Robinson High School concession stand and restrooms for the girls softball field and the boys baseball field. So those items were inadvertently omitted. Fund 3 current funding balance. We're at $59,905,338.36, and this represents where we currently are as far as our funding sources go. Based on our current level of expenditures between $3 and $4 million a month, the current construction costs, our ending balance after we complete mills should be $23 million, which leaves us a little shy as it's going to relate for the 4 building projects that remain. Those 4 building projects that are going to be vying for these dollars are Baker Elementary, College Station Elementary, Harris Elementary, and of course, Robinson High School. First up, Baker Elementary, slated for $10 million. Initially, we started off at 5, but based on the finished designs, it was in the number of students potentially projected for that school. We were looking at $10 million. There is the layout for the expansion of the school. Sorry, one slide too many. There is the cost analysis based on the construction company of choice that was chosen for that project, gives the pricing for Baker Elementary. Next is College Station Elementary. It came in a cost of $11 million. Interior renderings of College Station Elementary. And the cost sheet based on the contractor of choice for College Station Elementary. Next up, third school, Harris Elementary, came in at $5.7 million. Harris Elementary has 2 wings on two pieces to this campus. We call it Building 1 on the left and Building 2 on the right. Building 1 was where the 5.7 would be spent. to upgrade the classrooms and the cafeteria and media center for this particular building. These are interior renderings of what the updates and upgrades would look like for Harris Elementary. One thing to note is that there would have to be an additional cost for storm room preparation for students, and based on the new state requirements for storm rooms, was not a part of this pricing at this time frame. There's a call sheet for Harris Elementary for your consideration. Number 4 is Robinson High School. When we set out to have community meetings and discussions with the folks in the Robinson community, based on their ideals and feedback and concept, this was the design that we thought was best for the campus. It's inclusive of a new auditorium to the right of the side of the building, 3-level classroom section in the middle of the building, and to the left of the building would be new band room facilities, acquired facilities. We would renovate the existing high school to still keep that space. So everything here would have been additional space. The cost for this design came in at approximately $47 million. Robinson High School original site development was just a basic platform for overview purposes for you to be able to see the layout of the campus, current layout of the campus. With that being the case, the light colored tan that you're looking at on in the green shaded areas, or the light green shaded areas, is the existing school, and what's being proposed is in the dark green to the top of it. Here are the schemes, and we were tasked to come up with a couple of schemes as it relates to Robinson High School. I was tasked to basically find a $10 million solution for the high school and a $20 million solution to the high school, and compare those notes via discussions with the architects. So your first $10 million slide is scheme A, which is to basically completely renovate the existing campus or building as it is for a full renovation that costs us $10 million. Scheme B would be to do nothing to the existing building, but add your band building to this scheme and do the parking lot for the building. In this particular slide, the thing to note here is that the band building also serves as a dual purpose as a storm shelter for our students. And based on that, the cost is $550 a square foot. Based on the square footage of that building, we're looking at anticipating the cost being at $6.5 million just to build that building per state requirements at this time frame. That's scheme B. Scheme C is just a little bit different. That's to remodel the existing high school building and with modern HVAC and life safety upgrades. Relocate student parking, new sidewalks, landscaping, high school bus drop-off, and C3, new dual-purpose band and storm shelter building, complying with ICC 500 2020 rules. And in that scheme, this is your first $20 million scheme. Next scheme would be scheme D, and D1, new 3-story classroom building. Shell the 3rd floor is required to meet the budget. D2, relocate student parking, new sidewalks, new landscaping, new high school bus drop-off. D3, new dual-purpose band and storm shelter building, complying with ICC 500 and 2020 compliance rulings. Scheme E, sticking with our $20 million schemes, is E1, new performing arts space and additional dining. E2, relocate student parking, new sidewalks, landscaping, high school bus drop-off. E3, new dual purpose band, storm shelter, building compliance with ICC. Scheme F, a new 9th, 10th grade building, 3-story classroom building, storm shelter, dining, complying with ICC 500, 2020. F2, demo existing middle school in the summer and revise parking and driveway. Possible addendums to proposed options to consider. Robinson High School baseball and restrooms and concession stands. There will be 2, one for girls field and one for boys field. These were the initial plans that were VE from the initial construction of the new middle school. And we're revising these existing plans to enlarge the restroom capacity just to ensure that we have enough capacity for families and visitors that visit the area. The approximate cost for that is $500,000. Mills University Studies, Robinson High School, Sylvan Hill High School, football field turf replacements are valued at approximately $750,000 each. And they're 10 years as far as the life expectancy goes. Sylvan Hills is probably the one that's closest to the end of life. And thereafter that will be Mills and will also be Robinson. But Sylvan Hills would probably be the very first one on the list because it's slightly older than the other 2 noted. At Mills, you'll have the boys baseball field, and at Robinson, you'll have the baseball and softball fields that are in need of replacement. Critical needs noted. There again, Oak Grove Elementary, Landmark Elementary, Lawson Elementary, sewer platforms at $500,000, and Central Arkansas. The central office HVAC process for us is at $750,000. At the request of Dr. McNulty, the enrollment trends information, 7-year enrollment numbers are being added and for your consideration. This concludes the presentation for facilities for Pulaski County Special School District. And I want to take this opportunity to simply thank you for your time in reviewing this presentation.